From even the greatest of horrors, irony is seldom absent.
Good morning, Providence. This morning, in a scene reminiscent of one of the horror master's own stories, Swan Point cemetery workers discovered a freshly dug hole adjacent to H.P. Lovecraft's headstone. However, the would-be grave robbers were digging in the wrong spot. Lovecraft's remains are actually buried under the nearby Phillips family monument. Police are still investigating.
I can sympathize with those wannabe grave robbers. Howard Phillips Lovecraft, who many consider to be the greatest horror writer of the 20th century, is an elusive character, hard to get a fix on. For instance, he's generally described as an odd, bigoted, solitary figure who haunted the streets of Providence, Rhode Island, and died virtually unknown. And yet, in reality, he had a large group of admiring friends and was married for a time to a beautiful Jewish woman. We're here in Providence, Rhode Island, filming our search for the true Lovecraft. We're studying his city.
I am Providence. There is no other place for me.
We're examining his creative process.
Art is not what one resolves to say, but what insists on saying itself through one.
We're getting to know his fans.
Toss your carcass in the fire.
And we're exploring his work. Unfortunately, the first thing that I've discovered about Lovecraft is that I don't like his stories very much. It seems like all his plots revolve around central characters who unwittingly provoke hideous, barely glimpsed entities. And then either the characters disappear, die of fright, go insane, or melt into the floor. The good news is that I like Lovecraft's letters a lot more than his stories. The bad news is that there are 20,000 of them.
I was born the 20th of August, 1890. When I was 5, I began to have nightmares of the most hideous description. To keep awake was my one prayer. The children I knew disliked me, and I disliked them. Their romping and shouting puzzled me.
Well, H.P. Lovecraft's mother was overly protective. She would advise Howard that he should not play with the other children because he was just too homely and he might frighten them.
It's tough to imagine a more difficult childhood than having a mother who on a regular basis says you're ugly.
Memories and possibilities are ever more hideous than realities. One favorite pursuit of mine is seeking out ancient and glamorous street scenes on the hill that I inhabit.
College Hill may be glamorous, but as you go downhill towards Benefit Street, things get creepier.
I'm here to capture Lovecraft's Providence. These are the streets that he loved and inspired his horror.
Benefit has always had this kind of weird reputation. It's said to be one of the most haunted streets in America. You know, Lovecraft used to walk down Benefit. It has just that sense that if it's not haunted, it damn well should be.
Lovecraft writes that only the real artist knows the actual anatomy of the terrible and the physiology of fear. My job is illustrating the peak moments of horror in a story. I did it for Stephen King, and now I'm going to do it for Lovecraft.
I believe in nothing. All is chance, accident, ephemeral illusion. I'm no lover of humanity. Only a cynic can create horror. I hate the moon. I am only about half alive. Adulthood is hell. Never explain anything. I am getting quite lonely for horror. What I heard in my youth about the shunned house was merely that people died there in alarmingly great numbers. It was the dark, humid cellar which somehow exuded the strongest repulsion.
I confess to an
Overpowering desire to know whether I am asleep
or awake. So she goes in, but she doesn't come out, which is somewhat disturbing, because The Shunned House is one of those stories where the central character melts into the floor.
The slave tunnels under College Hill are Providence's most enduring urban legend. The story is that there are these tunnels leading from the waterfront up to rich houses up on the east side. It's always, I knew somebody who once met someone who knew where a tunnel was. Plenty of stories, but no actual evidence.
The only saving grace of the present is that it is too damn stupid to question the past. All life is only a set of pictures in the brain, among which there is no difference betwixt those born of real things and those born of inward dreamings, and no cause to value the one over the other.
H.P. Lovecraft held only a couple of jobs ever in his life, one of which was
As a ticket taker.
To the midnight movie. So he would sit there in the booth selling tickets and reading a book. And there's something about buying your ticket to the midnight movie from H.P. Lovecraft that just delights me.
Did I tell you about my dreams? The most horrible I have experienced. Of the Strand Theatre and the screamingly sentient gargoyles whose soul is Nyarlathotep. Horrible beyond conception, the crawling chaos. Nyarlathotep, the itinerant showman who held forth in public halls and aroused widespread fear with his exhibition. Encircled by his flopping horde of mindless dancers.
You know, if you're constantly being told you're monstrous, there's a pretty good chance you're going to go through life looking for monsters. And he certainly did.
Nyarlathotep is going to be the opener of the way that calls back the denizens of forgotten realms.
The most merciful thing in the world is the inability of the human mind to correlate all its content.
Don't fail to see Nyarlathotep if he comes to Providence. He is horrible. Horrible beyond anything you can imagine. But wonderful. Life is a hideous thing.